So we've been talking about the fact that in 2022 in the midterms for Democrats, running on Roe v. Wade abortion rights and gun safety might actually be a good idea. Why do I say that? Well, it's notable because usually it's not a good idea. Typically, we know from polling that Democratic voters aren't particularly motivated to vote to come out and vote when Democrats run on gun safety, but it can turn a lot of Republicans out who want to oppose what Democrats are proposing. We also know that abortion has been a big fundraising issue, more from the right than for the left. But again, for Democrats, it's not a particularly big motivator to get Democrats out to vote, particularly in midterm elections. But we've been saying maybe this time around it is a good idea because the issues are so in the news and Americans are so against the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade. And Americans are so furious and frustrated with Republicans doing close to nothing when it comes to gun safety. So the next question becomes, OK, fine. Democrats may have the country on their side on the issue of gun safety and on the issue of abortion. But will Democrats come out to vote on those issues? And we have new polling on exactly that, which I want to talk to you about in a moment. First, really quickly, let me tell you about our sponsor, MyHeritage. I love tracking my genealogy and DNA, and there's just this sort of reality that if your ancestors are Jewish and they were moving around due to political circumstances before and during World War II, it can just be really tough to figure out from most records, sort of like where you're from. And that's one of the great things about the DNA test by MyHeritage, which was able to give me a more detailed breakdown than any other test on the market. I sent MyHeritage a quick cheek swab. It opened me up to all sorts of fascinating discoveries about my family. You get a breakdown of your origins across 42 ethnicities in over 2,100 geographic regions. You can find new family members who match to your DNA. I trust MyHeritage with my privacy because of their policy of never selling or licensing your data, period. You remain the owner of your data. My results, not shockingly, 98.8% Ashkenazi Jewish, of origins in Poland and Ukraine and Russia and Romania, all of which I knew about, but also Hungary, Germany, East and Central Europe. I did not know about that. And also 1.2% English, which is pretty interesting. I've been using MyHeritage for years to connect with cousins and other people. And now I also have the DNA information, and it's fascinating. Start making exciting discoveries about your own origins. Get free shipping on your DNA kit when you use my link in the description and use the code PACMAN. All right, so new polling says, yes, Democrats are more likely to come out and vote in the midterms after the Supreme Court's abortion ruling on Roe v. Wade. There is a new NPR PBS Marist poll. This is a very good poll, which found that 78% of Democrats say, I am now more likely to vote in this year's midterms because of the ruling from the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade, opening the door for states to just out and out ban abortion. When asked the same question, only 54% of Republicans said, I'm more likely to vote in November now. And 53% of independents said, I'm more likely to vote in November. So I don't think I have to overstate the reality that if you have such a gap, that's a 25-point gap, okay? As of the Supreme Court's decision on Roe v. Wade, Democrats say 78% say I'm more likely to vote now. Only 53% of Republicans say I'm more likely to vote. That's potentially crushing to the Republican Party. Now, I don't want to go crazy with hyperbole and say, oh, it's going to be a great victory necessarily, because there's another factor that is working against Democrats. And that's that over the last year, and we'll have a report about this on the show, there has been a significant change in voter registration away from Democrats towards Republicans. That's not good for the Democratic Party. So, I've said before, the 2014 midterms did not feel like the most important midterms of our time. They just didn't. And we covered it and we followed it, and every election is important. But I was not saying these are the most important midterms of our time. It did not feel like a critical inflection point. The 2012 presidential election. Yeah, I voted for Obama. I didn't want Mitt Romney to be president. But the truth is, it was not the most consequential presidential election of our time. Obama won easily with relatively little controversy. Fine. This upcoming midterm really feels like a potential inflection point, a major fork in the next 10 years of American political history. And so we're going to be following all of it. Voter opinions about the important issues, what Democrats can or should do to get out the vote, whether the party registration change is going to hurt Democrats, all of it. But the early data is that as a result of what's happening in this country, Democrats are finding themselves far more motivated to vote than Republicans. And with midterms where turnout is typically low, it could be of massive consequence. And the House and Senate could quite literally hinge on it.